Alright, hey YouTube. Gonna go over the S&K Scout mount. First step, it's pretty simple. Drift your little pin out here. Remove your rear sight and your rear sight spring. Okay, so this is what your base looks like. I've already got the set screws in the side that go on the S&K rings. You can get a Picatinny version of this, but it's not quite as low, and with the Scout scope, you know, you really don't need a high, and you want it as close down to the barrel as you can get it. I'll go over those a little more in the future, but basically the way it locks down is it sits in here like so, and then you got this little flange nut guy here, and he slides in there just like that. And I got a little more blue Loctite on him than I really would have liked, but whatever. I would Loctite everything on this just because of the nature of it, you know. I always Loctite all my scopes anyways. But then your base slides down in there just like that. And now for these little guys. These little guys are like, I want to say number 348. They're tiny, tiny, eensy weensy. So I switched my camera over to a full-time autofocus. Let's see if it'll go. Yeah, there we go. That's much better. Okay. These guys are like a number 348. They're very tiny, and this block's aluminum. So you want to be really careful and make sure you're very well lined up on this hole when you go to put it together. Okay, get this guy lined up. And I mean, it's got to be just nits tits. Otherwise, you'd run the risk of stripping out your aluminum block, and you don't want that. Okay, and these do not need to be super tight. We got a little more adjusting to do before we tighten these down. Okay, now I've got those started, and I wouldn't even call it finger tight. Just as soon as I felt the bottom, I stopped. This one tight too. Okay, now we put that flange nut back in here, right? So we're gonna line that up. Okay, and we just want to get this guy to start, and he doesn't seem to want to cooperate. And don't force anything when you're working here. So let's take a look. Should go. I don't know what his deal is. Okay, had to do a little fiddling there, but we're just gonna go and finger tighten that guy. Okay, so now we're just finger tight here, and we're just finger tight here. Okay, you also have these two set screws here, these little guys. And these go in these holes here, and they're to keep pressure on our little 348 screws. Okay, so I've got these, and I've just started them in. I haven't tightened them or anything. And I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this guy down decently tight. And then I'm gonna tighten these just ever so slightly, just so there's tension on them. Because if you strip these, you're up a creek. Okay, I'm gonna call that good. Now the set screws, they basically just put upward pressure on your little tiny screws over here. If you find your mount shooting off, you can get some elevation adjustment out of these guys. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten those down to the barrel. Okay, now that's pretty much it for your mount. I already have the rings on my scope. You can see how they kind of go there. And then now really all that's left is to tighten our set screws on the side here. So I'm going to go ahead and put Loctite on all 4 of those, and then I'll be back with you. Okay, I did go ahead and take my rings off my scope just so I could show you. They are interchangeable front to back. They're pretty nice rings, and I don't know, they look nice and they were lower profile, so that's why I ended up going with them. But I think you want to pay particular attention to your set screws here, because this mount is windage adjustable. But if you get it on there straight, I don't think it should matter. So that's basically why I took the rings off. I mean, you can see how they set in there, but then also the rings can turn. So to adjust these, really, to adjust your set screws that is, I really think you should have your scope in there. That way you keep your rings from wanting to get out of square, you know. Okay, now as far as my scope, I would recommend that you mount it as far forward as possible, because the deal with a scope, zoom out a little bit for you. The deal with your scope is going to be finding a scope with short enough eye relief. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and start evenly tightening my rings. And I don't want them too tight because I still need to level my scope. My Loctite was plugged, so I had to trim the tip back, and it's made a pretty sloppy mess of all my Loctite. Okay, now that the scope's on there, I am going to go ahead and try to evenly tighten those set screws as best I can. I noticed that they're just out of flush with the side of the mount. Is where they seem to center up. You could take your calipers and kind of measure. That's probably the smartest thing to do. Okay, that's pretty close. Snug these guys up just a little bit. I'm gonna look through it. Okay, I think that's pretty close. Now for the final tightening here, I really can't do it on camera, so I'm not even gonna try, because I gotta just kind of eyeball my distance in between all my rings, and then I'm gonna even up those set screws. One final little note. As soon as you get this guy together, don't go out and shoot it. Give your Loctite 24 to 48 hours to dry, and then you'll be good to go. Okay, so now that I've got it all nice and leveled up on there, it's a Nikon Monarch 2.5 to 8 by 28. Extended eye relief, obviously, and it's a little long, really. The eye relief is for what I want. What I really want to show you is people complain about, it should fall down here. People complain, get easier, about not being able to eject a live round, which is true, you can't. Okay, so we got a live round, so it's longer, right? It's supposed to work like that. Okay, so we got a live round chambered. You're welcome. Safety Sally's. We're safe now. Anyways, you go to eject that, it's going to hit your ocular bell. So you can get it out of there though. It's really a non-issue, because say you've been hunting or shooting or whatever and you want to unload your live gun, you just go like that, and you take your handy dandy finger, or you just roll the rifle over, and you got it. So it's really a non-issue. You just can't eject it with quickness. And then here's an empty, which you probably won't want to feed. Okay, so an empty, right? That'll clear though. And I have my ocular bell screwed out. I could have it tucked in there more, you know, but that's just for my eye. And it shortens up my eye relief for some reason, so that's why I've got it screwed out like that. But yeah, it's really a non-issue. I don't know why people bitch about it, but they do. I guess if you had a round that didn't go off, it could be an issue, but hey, no problems. And if it dings up the scope, I really don't care, but I don't think it contacts the scope. I could play it back in slow-mo, I guess. But from just playing around with it around the house, I really don't think it's going to be an issue. I don't know. Seems to eject to me. So yeah. That there is my K31. And a mount video. I don't know. I got a whole nother video about it, if you care. But I don't know. I'll take it to the range, make a video there. The RCB. Take it easy, guys.